Are you ready to dive into a world where tech titans, political power plays, and billion-dollar secrets intersect? Today, we're uncovering how Peter Thiel's influence could steer an entire nation's policy. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss the revelations we have in store. Here, AAURTM is the juicy part. The allegations suggest that Peter Thiel's hefty financial backing and strategic support might fortify his influence in a Trump administration, leveraged through his protégé, J.D. Vance. This isn't your TMT just about having a seat at the table, it's about owning the table. Could Vance be more of a strategic placement than a mere political choice? Let your teams peel the layers. Why should we care? Well, if the whispers hold any weight, this partnership could pivotally bolster Thiel's sway over tech and defense policies. Imagine having the pull to tweak government directives like adjusting your room's thermostat. You are warm when you want, cool when you prefer. But what's in it for Peter Thiel? If this power pairing hits the White House jackpot, Thiel's roster of companies, especially those nestled comfortably in the defense and surveillance tech domains, could hit a goldmine. Drones, espionage tech, you name it, Thiel's investment empire could feast on governmental goodwill and booming contracts. Just thinking about the potential kickbacks gives a feeling of Christmas, but with contracts wrapped under the tree. It seems Thiel's betting on being the favorite if his tech endeavors unwrap new possibilities with governmental aid and favorable policies. After combing through the connections, the money trails, and the vested interests, the million-dollar question remains, is Peter Thiel the wizard orchestrating a Trump-Vance symphony? Or is this constellation of influence just urban legend, destined for the mythical shelves alongside Atlantis and El Dorado? Deciphering this tale is as complex as untangling headphones left in your pocket. Their AAURTM's undoubtedly a webspun of money, power, and strategic placements, but the full scope of this influence, whether profoundly transformative or just another flash in the political panayur, remains an open question. Is this just an elite charade, a high-stakes game of Monopoly with America's tech future? Meet our prime player, Peter Thiel, tech billionaire and the supposed puppeteer in the backdrop of political theater. His chess piece? None other than J.D. Vance, the hillbilly elegy author turned surprising political contender who ascended the rungs of power with considerable help from his magnate buddy. As Peter Puppet, hey J.D., fancy a whirl on the political Ferris wheel? As J.D. Puppet, sure thing, Pete, but only if you're powering the ride. By hiring J.D. Vance, investing in his ventures, and heavily funding his Senate campaign, Peter Thiel didn't just assist. He constructed an entire political portfolio. This tightly knit relationship potentially places Thiel in a favorable position to sway policies in Trump's administration through his protégé, Vance. And what do we have for our next exposé C? Has Peter previously attempted to wield his financial influence in the political arena? Spoiler alert, absolutely. Our second premise takes us down memory lane to when Peter Thiel and his allies previously dabbled in steering Trump-URTM's legislative priorities. Legislative? That brings us to a crucial point. If history enjoys a good rerun, and with Vance pockets safely nestled in Thiel's, it's akin to possessing the master key to Trump's tech policy theater. Could Thiel be remixing the tracks backstage? The historical breadcrumbs suggest he just might. It's puzzled together. Thiel aims to influence Trump and potentially channels his ambitions through Vance, angling for a prime spot at Trump-URTM's policymaking gala. Weave of alliances, influence, and high-stakes politicking. You are a classic political intrigue. Premise 1. Peter Thiel didn't just passively watch J.D. Vance's career. He was the baker, and Vance's career was his bread. From hiring Vance to funding his investment ventures, down to beefy donations to Vance's Senate campaign AUR, it's a full-service package. It's verifiable and true, as documented by credible sources like CBS News and discussions in political opinions on places like the SF Standard. A conspiracy, folks. Your activism is a well-documented strategy. So why does this matter? It's like making bread. Thiel's actions aren't just tossing ingredients together. They're methodical, purposeful AEUR, ensuring his dough rises perfectly in the political oven. These are strategic investments in a career that would potentially serve his interests on the political stage. Think about it like sneaking extra spices into a stew to get that perfect flavor, actively seasoning the political broth, hoping to get a taste that suits his palate. Have explicit receipts for this premise, but given Thiel's historical involvement, it's not just speculation to suggest M's influencing the menu. So what do we make of all this? If we piece together these premises, the story outlines Thiel's deep entanglement in the political fabric, influencing not just careers but potentially policy directions. Though direct influences on tech policy are speculative, the groundwork like our conspiracy rumor suggests a well-constructed and thought-out plan. Imagine this: Peter Thiel, Silicon Valley's very own Batman, throws his financial batarang to help his buddy, J.D. Vance, climb the slippery ladder to the US vice presidency. But wait does that mean Thiel now secretly controls the tech puppet strings of America? Cue the ominous thunderclap. Let's unpack this assumption right away. First up, the non sequitur. It's a fancy Latin term for "it does not follow." Just because Peter Thiel opens his wallet, it doesn't necessarily open the doors to directly manipulating tech policy. That's a huge leap in logica like connecting buying a pizza to owning a pizzeria, which is both illogical and misleading. Consider this: financial support does not equate to policy control, as many other factors, not just money, determine policy outcomes. Next on our fallacy hit parade, a hasty generalization. Here where it gets interesting, assuming Thiel's potential backing makes him an automatic puppet master in politics, overlooks a minefield of other decisive factors, including the political stances and independences of other advisors, and external influences that could counteract or dilute his influence. It's like assuming that since a singer had one hit song, every song after will be a chart topper. Reality often plays a different tune. And here comes the guilty association, or what I like to call friend of my friend is my puppeteer. This fallacy assumes that because Thiel has previously attempted to influence politics through financial means, his modus operandi will naturally extend and replicate through Vance unopposed. Similar to suggesting that since someone enjoyed horror movies, they must love all scary things, including haunted houses and ghost stories. Life and people are more complex than such straightforward narratives allow. Craft an entire political narrative based on some cash flows and past political flirtations. Politics is a multifaceted beast, resembling the complex plots of telenovelas. Skip a few episodes and you are lost. Our story of money, influence, and political power deserves a thorough, nuanced analysis, not just sensational headlines and simplistic conclusions. Our investigation begins with premise 3. Has Peter Thiel's support of political figures directly influenced specific policy decisions? Following the money leads us to a solid yes, a fact. Financial nudges from Thiel have not just uplifted political careers, but tactfully tailored policies too. According to The Guardian, Thiel's hefty contributions helped sculpt the political landscape, encouraging policies that favored his interests. Imagine a philanthropist, but his favorite charity is political power. But the plot thickens with premise 4, the navigator possibly becoming the influencer. All aboard. With J.D. Vance steering as vice president, the ship of state might just set sail for Tech Policy Island, charted by none other than our billionaire Captain Thiel. Verifiable? A robust yes. Confirmed truth? Indeed. Our sources like CBS News reveal Vance's substantial role in shaping tech policies, enabled by Thiel's generous backing during his political ascendancy. TM's less about navigating through rough waters and more about aligning the compass to Thiel's tech utopia. So what do we take away from this deep dive? Well, instead of a tangled mess of logical fallacies, we've unearthed a well-supported plot of financial influence that reads almost like a screenplay, indicating how Thiel in political figures could cleverly architect influences over Trump administration. With these heavy-duty premises added in, our truthfulness meter rockets up from speculative to highly probable. Our narrative isn't just stirring, TM's gaining credibility by the minute. Wrapping it up without premises 3 and 4, our story holds as just a teaser with a speculative label. But with all parts laid on the table, it transforms. TSM's plausible, almost probable, that Thiel could indeed whisper sweet legislations in Trump's administration through Vance. Let us discuss the second hypothesis. A Donald Trump, J.D. Vance administration could be a boon for Peter Thiel's companies and investments, particularly in the defense and surveillance tech sectors. First up, premise 1, Peter Thiel, who might as well be the tech wizard, helms Palantir and has major stakes in Anduril. These are really your average startups. TMR leading the charge in surveillance tech and defense industries. Why should this pique your interest? Picture the gold rush, but replace the prospectors with data miners and their shovels with drones capable of scary levels of surveillance. But why is his involvement so crucial, you might ask? His companies stand right at the crossroads where technology meets government policy. With federal decisions possibly swaying to favor more military and surveillance spending, the doors could swing wide open for Palantir and Anduril to not just grow, but potentially dominate the market. PM is about being in the right place with the right tech at the right political moment. Now for premise 2, Trump's hypothetical second term might be heavily armored with defense and security initiatives. Think of it like a summer blockbuster, but instead of popcorn, you get hefty government contracts and laws that could create a fertile ground for Thiel ventures to flourish. Imagine policies that are like fertilizer for Thiel already booming tech plants, resulting in an overgrowth of surveillance and defense operations. Thus, we're not just talking about military enhancements or increased security measures. We are looking at the potential for an environment where TM's businesses are not just participants, but leading players. More drones in the sky, more data analysis, and yes, possibly more of Big Brother than you bargained for. Whispering, if this storyline doesn't urgently grab your attention, maybe I'm in the wrong studio. Or perhaps you're considering the potential upsides of owning a surveillance drone yourself. Just kidding. Or am I really? And that means the scoop on the potential tech oligarchy playground of a Trump-Vance administration supporting a Thiel-driven future. We hope you found this fusion of tech potentials, political gambits, and the omnipresent Peter Thiel as intriguing as we did. And hey, maybe glance at your webcam settings just to be safe. Let's break down a popular opinion. If Trump and Vance take the reins, Peter Thiel's businesses will soar. Why? Because friendship's in high places, right? It's not that simple, folks. This claim assumes a whole domino effect of political decisions directly boosting Thiel's businesses, ignoring other possible scenarios or outright contradictory factors. To avoid tumbling down this fallacy slope, we added some premises to our rationale. Dive into the details of additional premises that make our assessment more comprehensive and balanced. 1. Not all political decisions directly benefit business cronies. Remember, even with powerful friends, regulatory bodies, other political interests, and laws can limit or even block certain favorable outcomes. 2. Opposition parties play a huge role here. Just because one duo is in power mean their every whim will be law. Debates, votes, and public opinion create hurdles. 3. International trade laws and global market responses can drastically alter the direct benefits expected by any business due to political influence. 4. Public opinion can sway political actions a lot, especially in democratic countries. Every politician wants to be re-elected, right? Then we sprinkle in some reality companies competing, technological changes, market trends. It's not just about who you know, it's about market forces, baby. So there you have it. By recognizing the complexity of political impacts on business and avoiding our sneaky friend, the slippery slope, we've got ourselves a more balanced, robust argument. And probably saved ourselves from opening an unplanned donut shop too. Let's kick off with premise 3, which claims Trump-TM's first administration was like a tech fairy godmother for the defense and surveillance sectors. True or false? Totally true. The administration didn't just sprinkle, but poured funds into these industries. The 2019 missile defense budget and the 2018 National Defense Strategy are shining examples. This wasn't just throwing cash in the air, it was strategic investment aiming to boost America's tech defense shield. On to premise 4. J.D. Vance, not just a name in politics, an advocate for bulking up defense and surveillance technologies. Our verdict? True, he's actively pushed for legislation boosting national security and fostering U.S. tech innovations against foreign threats. Remember the bipartisan bill with Senator Baldwin? That's Vance walking the walk, not just talking the talk. Gliding smoothly to premise 5, it proposes that a Trump-Vance tag team could be like early Christmas for Thiel's tech ventures in defense and surveillance. Are the stars aligned? Evidence nods a big yes. Their administration's potential policies could sprinkle some serious growth magic on TM's businesses, though, like any political promise, it's not set in stone. Policies change, but the prognosis, pretty sparkling. Last, but definitely not the main act. Premise 6. If Trump and Vance decide to put defense tech on their priority playlist, could Thiel's companies hit the jackpot? The potential is there, like finding an oasis in a desert. However, Lady Luck is fickle, especially in the political arena. Discussions from Quora suggest it's likely, but as always, it's risky business predicting the whims of political winds. Let's break it down with the power of logic. The original logic chain was as shaky as jello during an earthquake, with a truthfulness rate of just 50%. Only two premises there: Thiel's positions at his companies and some predictive tarot reading about Trump's future moves. To bolster our flimsy logic, we introduce four sturdy pillars of truth. Pointing at the graph, result, an improved truthfulness rate at 84% with our enhanced premises. That's not just any cup of fact, it's a steaming espresso shot of reality. So, is it fact or fiction? With a solid foundation of premises, our tower of truth stands majestically tall. Peter Thiel's businesses may indeed hear the charging of cash registers if Trump and Vance take the helm again. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and as always, stay questioning. Until next time.